we can...
All right, we'll call the meeting to order.
Mr. Gage, would you do this?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
First item on the agenda is to approve our agenda.
Move.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next up, the opportunity for any public comments, or anyone that would like to address the commission this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, members of the commission. Mr. Chair, Trevor Jones of Summit Carbon Solutions. Thanks again for the opportunity to talk to you real quickly, answer any questions you might have about our project. And now I want to talk about another project real quickly. I hate to really call it a project because it's a CO2 pipeline that's just across our border, about 200 miles away. It delivers the same CO2 we would have. They deliver it in actually a little bit larger pipe than we would have in your county. As it travels north, just like our pipeline would also travel north as well, they'd have a 4-foot depth. They also have the same setback. And there's a reason behind that is because when they were constructed back in 2000, and they've been in operational since that time. You've never heard of them, and that's a good thing. That's how pipelines operate, is hopefully you never hear about them, you never see them. They do what they're supposed to do, is deliver their commodity as intended and monitored and obviously oversaw, maintained by personnel, but also oversaw by the federal government, PHMSA. That's the same operation that would oversee the construction, maintenance, and the continued operation of our pipeline if constructed. So I know comments in the past, but we have never seen this type of technology. It doesn't exist anywhere. Where are these pipelines located? Well, there's one just right across the border, and I always like to think that, hey, if our favorite neighbors to the north can do it, we here in the south can do it as well, maybe even better. And you go back to this constructed in 2000, you can bet all the technological advancements that have taken place since then would be applied to our project, whether you're talking SCADA systems, obviously overflights, certainly technology, and would say the PIG, which is the inspection item that travels through the pipeline to just obviously look for any deformities, welding issues. That technology has improved greatly since then, and we would take advantage of it as well. That SCADA system alone will be monitoring 24/7, just like they monitor 24/7 as well. So I just want to talk about real quick pass on real quick that information. Again, I go back to, if you have questions about our projects, reach out to me at any time, send me an email or call me. You bet.
What's the name of that?
That's the Dakota Gasification Pipeline that runs from Beulah up north into Canada. They have two pipelines. One's a liquid natural gas, but the other one is a CO2 pipeline. That one actually travels underneath Lake Sacagawea, the biggest and largest lake in North Dakota. So they've managed to go underneath a huge waterway. Ours, as you know, here in Brown County, doesn't travel underneath any major waterways, certainly next door, but not underneath it. But certainly the technology is there. It's been there since 2000. So like I said, we could easily copy what they did and do it right here in Brown County.
All right.
So they run from North Dakota to Canada?
Correct.
Interesting. Can I pass that around?
You bet.
All right. Anyone else wish to address the commission this morning? Online or on the phone? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on. First, we have an Amendment 1, Federal Bridge Project at Elm Lake. Dirk. Morning, Dirk.
Howdy.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, you need a flow chart to keep track of all the frickin' bridge and money and stuff flying around right now. But this particular bridge, we got funded, this is the bridge that sits in the lake up at the Elm.
Yeah.
And, it's part of the federal local bridge program. We've never used it before. This is the first time that this money was ever packaged this way from the federal government. And there's what they did is they bundled like, I don't know, 5 or 6 bridges in each project. So the folks that are working on our bridge, which is HR Green, whatever, has a team of then maybe 2 or 3 smaller firms, and that group is in charge of so many bridges in a region. I don't know how they came up with different things. Our local folks are working on some stuff down in South Central, South Dakota, no big deal. Okay, so that's the background of it. And that was originally like an 80-20 program. And then, I believe it was 2 years ago, Carl and his friends there in Pier threw in like $3.5 million or $3.4 million, I think it was, something like that.
3.4.
Is that what it was? And it wasn't overly detailed, it was just, we want this money to go to the benefit of the local government. So the DOT decided to use that money to reduce the amount of match that you have to pay on this bridge program. So what this amendment's saying is that it's basically just the verbiage saying that because the state contributed a certain amount of money, and don't ask me how it got dispersed through the bridges, because using what we got, it doesn't quite come out right, I don't know. But we went, basically, we got I had the amendment in the packet, I believe, but it's
Yes.
like 12.4% of it's getting picked up by, 12.71% is now getting paid for by those state funds that the legislature gave us 2 years ago.
Thank you
So,
very much.
yes, and so we're down to just a 5.34% match on what's, I think, a $1.1 million bridge. So, I mean, we're getting it down there into county levels,
Sure.
where we can afford stuff.
That's good.
So, that's the whole point of that agreement. Do you have an original there?
Yes.
That you can use? Okay, that's the explanation. Unless you guys have an issue, I'd like to take the money, so.
You bet.
The project's been in place and in process, and this is just changing the funding to where they're gonna utilize some of those funds to minimize what we have to put into completed.
Yep, originally, they were saying those bridges in that funding system were gonna be like 24, 25, for construction. Don't hold me to it, but it seems to be moving quicker than that.
Good.
So, we'll just see what happens, but,
Go ahead, Dennis.
And maybe this question for Carl, is that an ongoing funding?
No,
Just a one-time funding?
no. It was one time, and then they did it again. But it's a one-time, more than one time.
So it isn't something that's, yeah.
Not an annual appropriation.
Yeah,
It's not a gimme. They
not-
did it one time, and then they said, well, we're gonna do it one more time.
Yeah.
And they did it one more time. They only
So
did-
eventually, we could be right back to where we've been.
You will be.
We will be
You will be.
eventually,
Okay.
but, I mean, we're gonna be with all these programs. I was kinda laughing, 'cause I was trying to explain it this morning. When I started the first time, we had a very well-functioning federal bridge program in, say, 2000 or 2005. And it was great. It was no problem, man. You could churn bridges through that thing. We got 3 bridges a year run through that.
Everybody understood the rules, they were simple.
Yeah, and then it became antiquated because of cost. You know, it doesn't fit the
Yep.
way things are going. And now, I believe there's currently 9 different programs. I double-checked that, maybe we got a couple more today, I don't know. But there's a whole bunch of bridge programs now. And I'm just hoping that we can pick the pieces of them that we can utilize, you know, the most. And unfortunately, we've been fixing bridges. We've been hyper-aggressive about fixing our bridges, so we're in really good shape. Bigger challenge is finding stuff that qualifies for the money, you know.
Well, we're big enough, and you and your staff are sophisticated enough to keep an eye on it and figure out where they apply, and actually, because you can let this stuff go by and miss it
Yep.
very easily. You got the Big Ridge Road with program, a bunch of the rest of those.
Yep, there's a lot of opportunities right now.
So, anyway, motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Weiss, second by Pfeiffer to approve signing the federal bridge project change. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
2 in a row.
Wow.
All right, next we
I
have
might get reelected.
Oh, no.
BDM ordinance number 44-22.
I was just gonna make a comment about that. I don't know if Ross is, however we're doing this. Again, I think there's a copy of the finished version in your
There is.
thing. I just wanna point out a couple of the changes that I made in there. It didn't change anything substantially. I did suggest that they could maybe get their franchise agreement somewhere around, you know, within 10 or 20 years of when they start the water system, but whatever. But there's, the things that I changed, the second to the last, be it further resolved above before the numbers start, there was some verbiage in there that said they would repair any damage to the right-of-way with reasonable construction methods. and I took out the reasonable construction methods, and nothing against them, I'm just saying big picture. If we got a hole in the road, we're gonna have to fix it regardless of if we gotta bring in, you
Yep.
know, the big boring machine or whatever the hell we gotta do, right? So I wanted that taken out of there. We're not gonna get dumped with someone else, even if it's an act of God, I don't wanna let them out of it. Notice prior of work, that was changed, it was a 48-hour notice, now they just come in and get our normal right-of-way occupancy. And then number 8 was, it was split up into gravel roads, how you handle them, and paved roads, and everything's bored, no exceptions, and all the county roads. So, those are just the little changes, and other than that, I think it was fine. Rodney's been very involved, communicating with it, and very concerned that we get this through, so.
He's good to work with.
Oh, yeah, he is, and so, outside of my comments, I'm good with the way that it's worded
Move
now.
it.
Second.
Oh,
Point of clarification, we got it as an ordinance on the agenda, it's actually a resolution. And to, I guess, explain why we're doing this, my understanding is they can apply for authorization, but they don't have to apply for specific points. And Dirk wants to know that whenever it happens, that's why he comes in here with the right request. So by doing this, giving the broad authorization, they don't have to send it to us, we have to advertise it, and we have to do one for every time Dirk comes in here, because they want to cross the road. So, this is just kind of a way around that, and I think they expire in a certain time period, it's 20 or 25 years. So I think this is just a renewal,
Yeah.
in essence, of what they probably already have.
All right, so we have a motion by Fikert, second by Weiss on the, resolution 44-22. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next on the agenda, Erica Coughlin to authorize union contract signing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Erica.
Okay, I met with the union last week, Ross and I did, and they gave us a contract to sign. I went through it, I don't know, who did Ross?
Ross is with us.
Okay, I don't know if he had a chance to go through it or not, but I just noticed some things, in there that I questioned. There was reference to 2018 in there, on the signature page. There was some changes, some wording that was added, and then also on the appendix A, which was the wage rates, they stated it was 11, 12, 13, 14 years, and it should be 11 plus years, because some of those employees have been here longer than that 11, 12, or 13. So my recommendation is we go back to them, have them make these changes. I bring a new one to you guys next week, and then as long as the changes are made, which are just little simple changes, we get it signed and we move forward.
Ross, did you notice anything in addition?
I sent it to Ernest, she had it covered pretty well.
Okay,
I'll let her know if I see anything else.
okay. All right, so you'll send it back for those corrections, and we'll deal with it next week.
Move forward from there.
Okay?
I think Ernest was looking at it, so
Okay,
I'll make sure he gets his comments to Erica.
okay, good.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Well, we have progress anyway.
Yeah.
Got a contract,
That's right.
first draft. All right, that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Approval of the general meeting minutes, August 23rd, 2022.
Move.
Motion by Weeks, second by Gage. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Approval of claims.
Move. Second.
Motion by Fikert, second by Feldheim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
HR report and payroll.
Move. Second.
Motion by Feldheim, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And claim assignment.
Move. Second.
Motion by Fikert, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
And the auditor's report of account.
Move. Second.
Motion by Gage, second by Weiss. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Under other business, we have Rachel Kipley, the fair manager, to bring us some fair information. Or not.
I haven't seen her yet.
I don't see her on here either.
Guess we're not doing it again.
She didn't anticipate us moving this fast.
Yeah.
Do you want me to call her? Okay.
Calling her. Hey, boss, you on your way? All right. We are ahead of schedule. Dirk didn't have much to say today. All right.
He gets blamed every time.
All right, thanks, Mike. She's on her way. Couldn't believe we're on time.
I could give a report, but it's probably not the same information.
All in all, I think it was a pretty good fair week. The weather held out, got some little bit of rain, which we always do.
We had some mud, so we had a real fair. It was good.
Pretty typical. I heard good comments on the entertainment. The Fair Board does one amazing job of putting that together. The Fair Board and all the other volunteers that it
Yeah,
takes.
volunteers, everybody.
I think it did, I'm pretty sure. I think this is on reservation land, Tioga, Bellevue, White Earth, I think that's on reservation through there.
Yeah, how'd they get it across there?
Well, that's federal, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's the thing I looked right away, I thought, yeah, that's gotta be all reservation land,
Mhm.
that came in through there.
I wonder how many pounds of pressure pushed into that one. Gas line that runs north up to Jamestown. Excuse me, north of Camp Pipeline out here, that had a hole in it. Oh, when the heck was it? Probably 4 or 5 years ago. It was right on on the east side of the road, just north of Beatles. Right on the side hill, there was a hole in it.
This is about as quiet as you guys have ever been.
I know. Well, the camera and the mic are on, so we have to be a little careful.
So that's never stopped us before.
On that highway information that Dirk was talking about, Caleb Fink never won his election, but he was probably the champion for counties.
Mhm.
That was a bad loss.
Yep.
We're
But
gonna miss quite a
That didn't help
few.
the counties at all. He was very, very good.
Yep.
What district or where was he from?
Down by Tripp, but I don't remember the district number. But, that guy, he knew how many culverts were in South Dakota. I mean, he really worked on that stuff. He knew how many bridges needed fixed.
Now we need a new friend for counties,
Couple.
or a lot of them.
Well, there are a couple there, and we just need to make sure that people understand the importance of counties.
Right.
Pretty much taken for granted.
They really are. When you deal with, like Sioux Falls, you know, that they go, oh, Minnehaha County, that's no big deal. You know, it is a big deal. There's some of these counties that are very small, and they really need help.
Actually, I had a guy comment on your chart you wanted posted outside our office, the tax count. He stopped me yesterday and thought that was really good information to have. He said he had no idea.
Yeah, when you got 77, in McPherson County, 77% of the property tax that people are paying, excuse me, in McPherson County goes to the Leola School District.
Commissioners, would it be okay if we got a copy of that map or whatever?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to have staff to do stuff.
Right, I'm not used to that.
Especially higher up.
Now he'll want it hit, that's the worst of it.
I'll beg it. Well, you talk about information for taxes and stuff, the Department of Revenue's actually got a lot of good information now that's on their site.
Morning,
You can go
Rachel.
in By county, and you can see the breakdown. I actually posted up on one of my social media pages. It's from 2 years ago, but it shows the breakdown for the different taxing entities and how much value and what they're taking out of it and stuff, and it's
I
eye
think
opener if
it is.
you're not paying attention to that stuff.
Yeah, every county's gonna be different too,
Right.
because of whatever, if they got fire districts, road districts,
Size of-
township
Size of the
levies.
cities and what they're pulling out of it.
School bond
schools,
issues.
Bond issues, all that.
Come on up to the table, Rachel, you're up.
Oh, you're waiting for me?
Morning.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right, it's all you.
You're to let me down. I thought you'd be a little longer. Well, first of all, I want to start by saying thank you. A number of you around this table volunteered your time out at the fair, and we all know that's what it's all about, to get that thing going and have a successful week. We need those volunteers, so thank you to you guys. When I was in your seats, I know we always want to know numbers, and you're probably getting asked by a lot of people numbers. So these are very, very preliminary. It's just the revenue side of things, but I wanted to give you an indicator of kind of where we're sitting. Expenditure side, it'll take just a little bit longer. We're still vouchering a lot of that out, but and I'll give you mine, I'll leave hands on. So just to kind of walk you through some of the numbers, this looks familiar probably to most of you. It has year after year of how the fair is done in different categories. So the top is your concert tickets and rodeo, total grandstand, your booth. We've got carnival. So bottom line is we're looking all right. We fought a little bit of rain, and we tried something new on Wednesday night as far as entertainment goes. So the ticket sales for the music is a little bit down, but it was definitely helped by increase in carnival sales, the tickets there, the rodeo, which was a sellout on Tuesday and just a handful short of a sellout on Monday. Fair sponsorship, we really increased that this year. And of course camping. You guys probably, there's no surprise there with the increase in the number of sites we had there. So all in all, we're looking like we're going to meet or exceed those revenue expectations that we had for the year. But of course, the true story is going to be at the end of the year with expenditures, where we're sitting with that. So, but I did want to give you the revenue projections, and like I have right on the bottom, it is a draft. So if there's any questions on that, you can let me know, or if you want to look through it a little bit and call me later, you can sure do that as well. The other thing I wanted to touch on, we are in the season where we're looking for new fair board members. We did put on this fair, in 2021, we only had 18. This year we're blessed to have 24 people. One spot is wide open that we hadn't been able to fill yet, but another 7 of those people are terming off. That doesn't mean they can't decide if we ask them to come back for another year or 3-year term, which we could do if we can't find additional people. But I wanted to pass these out, because if you know of anybody who would be a good fit, please give them this application. There's definitely a need for folks that are willing to learn how to, or perhaps they already do know how to run a forklift and some minor machinery, stuff like that, that we would definitely take them if they're willing.
Just don't ask your existing board members the first 2 weeks after the fair.
Yes, exactly.
Ain't
Give them a
doing
little
this
time.
again.
So there's that, and we do meet, the next board meeting will be September the 21st, and that's where we invite any potential board members to that meeting to kind of meet the rest of the board, ask questions, and then there's a process to get them on the board if they're interested. So if there's any questions, just let me know on that. As far as fair goes, we did also have traffic counters. The highway was gracious enough to help us secure 6 of them, and so we had them at every gate going into the fairgrounds and leaving. They put them up Monday afternoon, mid-afternoon, and they took them out then the following week, so they were there about 7 days. In retrospect, I probably would have put them in there like Thursday night, because we did miss all the camper traffic that came in, and a lot of those folks, I can't give you a percentage, but some of them stay, that's their vacation, and they don't leave. But as far as traffic counts, there was a total of 45,924 vehicles that were coming out and 30,438 going in. So there's some tweaking to be done, I think, on those traffic counters, and working with Highway Department a little bit on that, but, you know, depending on what factor we want to use. We do have some traffic count numbers, though. It's just, you know, how to come up with a formula, so to speak, so.
I do know, for instance, the rally, they also count how much garbage is generated, figure that into their equation.
That may be a better
Volume too, yeah.
And then finally, the other thing I wanted to touch base on is working with Ross a little bit, and we will be in the future. There's a number of contracts that are going to be coming before you that we need to get renewed. A few of those are the Sutton Rodeo contract is up, whether we want them as a stock contractor or whether we open that up for bids. The Todd Armstrong Shows, our carnival contract, it allows for a 1-year option. We've done 2 years with them in this last contract, so we probably will re-up that 1-year option, because there's been very few complaints about the job they're doing there. But then next year, that would be up for additional consideration. And of course, the ODI Arena, Ross and I are kind of talking about that, trying to figure that 20-year contract out. And Boys and Girls Club, their 3-year is up for concessions at the grandstand, which will again be, we put a process into place a few years back just to make sure that that's all in the up and up and the public's aware of what's going on. We also received a $5,000 grant. I think I had mentioned it to a couple of you for that beef barn project. So we'll have to do, I'm going to work with Lynn when she gets in and see how we want to do that. They did not put a firm time frame of when we have to have it spent. So I foresee us maybe coming up with a game plan of, you know, remember it was $35,000 to do the insulation, $25,000 to do the fans and additional electrical. So we'll just have to do some brainstorming of which option we want to go for, because that it truly only has to be used for something to cool the beef barn, and it doesn't matter what we choose that it does. So with that, that's kind of my report. Do you guys have any questions?
Your Wednesday night concert,
Yes.
what do you just foresee doing different? Do you think you're gonna change?
They wanted, you know, that's kind of the perk of being on the fair board, is there's an entertainment committee that gets to choose what they want to try, and that was something that they really wanted to try, was a Red Dirt Country Night. It didn't go over, I mean, it could have been worse, but it definitely could have, we sold more tickets, so they'll probably go back to some more traditional country. I know there's been some questions if we would do a Christian concert again, and when they used to try that, it also didn't fare very well as far as ticket sales and things of that nature, but you know, I support their efforts to try something different, and if it doesn't work, then next year you go back to what you used to do, or you try something else. So that was their desire this year, and like I said, I support it.
Well, it's hard to have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all night entertainment.
Yeah.
With the cost of entertainment going so high, you know, your budget is absorbed by a lot of that, so it's, you know, how do you put that many nights of good entertainment in? It's hard with a fair of our size.
Right.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Do you have any idea at all what kind of sales tax was generated, or do you get any solid numbers on what kind of sales tax is generated off the fair? I mean, just, I mean, granted, you're not gonna know what kind of sales tax
Sure.
is generated off the fairgrounds, but I'm curious as to what kind of, if there's any way to get a pretty solid number on what sales tax would have been actually collected by the state on the fairgrounds.
Sure. I do not get that information from the vendors. I just connect them to the Department of Revenue to make sure that they are made right. I do know, I think it was Carnival. We get a report from Todd Armstrong Shows about what they had. Their report showed $26,000 of sales tax expense. And I asked him what percentage they were going by, because that didn't really, but he was gonna get back to me on that, but on their report here, it shows that.
So that was just Armstrong themselves?
Used a Carnival,
Just
$26,000.
Carnival.
But yeah, the vendors and stuff don't really report that to us.
I think the state of Minnesota, the sales tax is I don't know exactly how it's worked out, but the sales tax goes back to the county or to the fair. And that's a good legislation for Carl and Brandy to work on, is to get Minnesota's legislation on returning sales tax that's generated on the fairgrounds, get it back to the county. Good luck.
That's a very good idea.
Yes, it is.
You don't know that it's a feasible idea. However, Brandy, being that she's brand new, can introduce that. She can get beat up.
All you need to do is convince 103 others that it's a good idea.
Well, I did introduce.
Actually, we can get it down to 102 for sure, because Al would be with us.
Yeah, there we go.
So we're
I actually did introduce that bill the first year I was down here. It took a sudden death.
Well, if things do that, do you have a copy of your old bill?
I would say legislative research
Okay.
might have it.
Because we'll look at that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. One of the things that Commissioner Sutton gave us at one time was on the bridge improvement grant, a way of taking some of the surplus funds and moving that to bridge improvement. It might be possible, if we ask the Department of Taxation, revenue, can we take all this money, they're probably gonna say no. But if we say, could we have part of that, we might have a shot at that. I like that, ask for a percentage, and, because you ask for it all, and if you get your choice between all and none, a lot of times you get none. But if we say, we could ask for all, but what we're looking at is 25%. And if we got 25% of the sales tax that is generated off that would be a nice little shot in the arm, so.
Doesn't the county has to pay sales tax on ticket sales for the rodeo, is that correct? Yeah. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, but in the rodeo tickets, the county's gotta pay state sales tax. Be nice to get that money back.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why the rodeo is treated different than the other entertainment. It's all entertainment when you look at it, but for some reason, we treat it differently.
If we complain, they might take it on council.
That's right.
And the same way with the tipping fee at the landfill, the county has to pay sales tax on the tipping fee too, which amounts to in excess of $30,000 each year.
So yeah, it was all in all a great fair, and had a lot of new exciting events, and appreciate all the help you guys provided in putting it on. And
I did hear some very favorable comments about the caliber of the help in the carnival itself, and how clean it was kept and so on, and so
Good.
people were impressed with that.
So yeah, in the future, we'll be working on those contracts I mentioned, and when we get expenditures kind of when we get to the end of September here, we should get the Boys and Girls Club numbers from the grandstand, we should get the Centennial Village numbers back. Other than that, get our expenditure side in order, and we'll get you some more firm numbers, but.
You lived a lot of good work with the Kids Zone, and I know you personally and your family and stuff did a lot of work on that, and working with partnerships, but giving kids something to do that's fun and creative, and getting the kiddos involved in things, it's a really good thing.
Yeah, the first dig for dough they did down there was 82 kids that showed up on a Tuesday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Tuesday afternoon. And one of the sponsors of that later in the day or week had said, "We're gonna need a bigger sandbox." My husband Jeff goes, "You're gonna need to double your donation." He's like, "Yeah, we probably do."
Well, when they see things go as well as they did.
I think even Commissioner Gage spent a couple of days out there working on that.
We did the pallet maze, we did the pallet maze portion.
Yeah.
Where the Kids Zone.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
With the utilization of child.
Very nice.
Only about killed one child.
You only have the big one out of the sand, huh?
No, only one of them had
That's why you have
a
extra.
slight injury. I think we were okay after that.
Very good. Well, I appreciate everything you guys do. Let me know if you need something.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yep.
All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. We have had a request for executive session for personnel. We need to add legal or contracts onto that.
Hope not.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. Motion by Gage, second by Weiss, to go into executive session for personnel. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are in executive. All right, we're out of executive session with no action as a result. Is there anything else to come before the Brown County Commission this morning?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Weiss to adjourn, second by Fikert. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Much fun.